This is a revision video for Little Gidding by T.S.Eliot, and this is from the SparkNotes summary. Little Gidding was the last of the quartets to be written. It appeared in print in 1942. In 1943, the four pieces were collected and published together. Little Gidding is named after a 17th century Anglican monastery renowned for its devotion, and this is the place where the problems of time and human fallibility, human weakness, are more or less resolved. The first section describes a sunny winter's day where everything is dead, yet blazing with the sun's fire. The poem considers those who have come to the monastery, who come only to kneel where prayer has been valid. It is here that man can encounter the intersection of the timeless with the present moment, often by heeding the words of the dead, whose speech is given a vitality by burning fire. The second section, which we also look at, opens with a lyric on the death of the four elements, air, earth, water and fire, that have figured so prominently in the previous quartets. So about T.S.Eliot, very, very briefly, he's a modernist poet born in St. Louis in 1888, and he moved to England at the age of 25. He later became a British citizen. He was unhappily married, his wife developing mental health problems and physical health problems as well. He was a lecturer and a writer. He was famous for writing the poems The Wasteland and The Lovesuck of J. Alfred Prufrock, as well as 7 plays. He was a heavy smoker and suffered from bronchitis, and eventually died of emphysema in 1965. Midwinter spring is its own season. Sempiternal, though sodden towards sundown, suspended in time between pole and tropic. When the short day is brightest, with frost and fire, the brief sun flames the ice on pond and ditches, in windless cold that is the heart's heat, reflecting in a watery mirror a glare that is blindness in the early afternoon, and glow more intense than blaze of branch or brazier stirs the dumb spirit, no wind but Pentecostal fire in the dark time of the year. Between melting and freezing, the soul's sap quivers. There is no earth smell or smell of living thing. This is the springtime, but not in time's covenant. Now the hedgerow is blanched for an hour with transitory blossom of snow, a bloom more sudden than that of summer, neither budding nor fading, not in the scheme of generation. Where is the summer, the unimaginable zero summer? So the midwinter spring, to start with, is an oxymoron. It's an impossible concept, and it's opposing forces that can't come together. They're seeming to defy time. It's individual and it's unique. It's without comparison. Sempiternal simply means everlasting. And you've got the sibilance and the alliteration in the beginning 2 lines that slow down the pace. They create a soothing tone. This is an ideal moment. You've got the juxtaposition of opposites, just like the burning rose motif, which comes later on in the second section as well. The brief sun flames the ice on pond and ditches, so even something as ordinary as a ditch is being glorified in quite a romantic way. Nature is capturing the moment and reflecting the truth, where it says reflecting in a watery mirror. And there's the contrast between natural and man-made, between the blaze of the branch, which would be kind of a natural fire, and a brazier, where the fire is contained in a man-made structure. Okay, 0 is the perfect point, so between melting and freezing, it seems to be the perfect point, but it can never stay there. You've got the excitement, and it's got the essence of being, that the soul's sap quivering. And you've got the hedgerow being blanched for an hour, blanched kind of making referencing the snow, linking to the religion. It's not in the contract of time's covenant, so it's unusual for this blossom. When it's actually referring to the snow, it's not right. It shouldn't be coming at this time of year. You've got the metaphor of the blossom being the snow, highlighting the difference between the seasons, the transience of the snow and the blossom in particular. And you've got the neither budding nor fading, again highlighting that moment of perfection. Where is the summer? The unimaginable zero summer could refer to war. Summer at this moment seems unimaginable because these are winter air raids in 1941, and the summer would seem like a distant memory. A zero summer being a still point and kind of paradise. Ash on an old man's sleeve is all the ash the burnt roses leave. Dust in the air suspended marks the place where a story ended. Dust breathed was a house, the walls, the wainscot and the mouse, the death of hope and despair. This is the death of air. There are flood and drought over the eyes and in the mouth, dead water and dead sand contending for the upper hand. The parched eviscerate soil gapes at the vanity of toil, laughs without mirth. This is the death of earth. So this is section 2 in the quartet. and it's got religious connotations, reference to death with the ash, so kind of almost being cremated, and it seems like an insignificant detail. Dust in the air is suspended. It's almost as if it's the perfect moment. And the fact that we all become dust, this is where the story ends. The burnt rose, again, which comes up in this section, refers to an experiment conducted in the 19th century where it was believed that if you burn a rose, you will see it hanging eternally in its kind of last form just before it's burned. Dust in breathes with house. This could refer to bombs, or it could refer to kind of particles of ourself. And the structure of this section is rhyming couplets, it's formal verse. It gives it a very solemn and prayer-like tone, and that's markedly different from the first section. You can also identify the semantic field of desolation, and you can highlight the four elements in this passage. Man destroying land for their own benefits, where it says contending for the upper hand, that kind of power over nature, that recurring concept that we've seen before, and the personification of the soil that's laughing at the idea that man is trying to get the upper hand. Water and fire succeed the town, the pasture and the weed. Water and fire deride the sacrifice that we denied. Water and fire shall rot the marred foundations we forgot, of sanctuary and choir. This is the death of water and fire. So the repetition of this is the death of has gone through all four elements. And man needs all of these elements to survive. We have sacrificed nature, and this is very dangerous, and Eliot's trying to show how severe the consequences will be. Not only have we destroyed it, but we've destroyed it in a very arrogant way that kind of undermines the power of nature. While we have marred foundations, nature is going to be stronger. And there's religious imagery, the idea of sanctuary and choir coming into play right at the end. And the repetition of this is the death of, to make it seem more formal and more serious. Structurally, Eliot's been influenced by Dante's form in the Divine Comedy, Terza Rima, and it's also said to be written after Yeats's style as well.